Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. G, look, it was a sour weekend for LSU, man. Come on, man. Sweeping the board. A little bit of getting clean out here. Had to prop out the broom for the day for the 3-0 sweep for the boys. First time ever in history, G. So hats off to you. Come on. Little round of applause for everybody in the chat, G. How you feeling, dog? I hope you parlayed it. Come on.
Nah, I didn't parlay it. I'm just cool with the bragging rights.
All right, I respect it. I had to throw a little bit down. Wasn't the best odds, but come on, man. Whenever you got picks like that, whenever you're feeling it, we talked about a sweep. We talked about bringing a brim on. We had to do it, man. We had to go out there and do it. A little rough update today. Been a week full of disappointment. I don't want to add more. Gee, I'm gonna add more though. Tyree Adams, he's out, and he's not just out for this week. The rumor is he's gonna be out for multiple weeks. Now, I'll elaborate on why that is a worry. The worry starts with the fact that you probably got one of the roughest offensive line combinations in the SEC. There you go, G. I tried to be careful with how I worded that one. At left tackle, it's the most important in my eyes because you're guarding the biggest athletes, the biggest edges, and you're in the blind spot of Mr. Garrett Nussmeier, the spot that he's not exactly going to be able to just keep tabs on, and it might creep up into some of the decision-making issues for him if he's got to keep worrying. Brian Kelly said we're going to keep DJ Chester there at left tackle. Carius Kern will see some opportunities there. But, gee, it popped in my head, and I'm wondering because of what we saw with the cross-training through spring ball, what we've heard with, Josh Thompson's history at Northwestern, when do you start to wonder if an O-line shuffle's in place? Sure, DJ Chester is your most versatile offensive lineman, but at the end of the day, if he can't produce, do you think they need to hit the drawing board, potentially put someone like Thompson out there at left tackle, move Chester to left guard, Cohen Echols at right guard, maybe a situation like that? Or do you believe in Brian Kelly when he says this is the best five that they got out there?
I believe when Josh Thompson played tackle, he played right tackle at Northwest. I don't think he played the blind side, so it's a big difference than playing right tackle versus playing left tackle. So I think that's the reason why he don't want to move Josh Thompson out there. And he just rather move DJ Chester. Either way the cut go, bro, this offensive line they're gonna struggle going forward. I hate to say that. I know Tiger fans don't want to hear that, but I'm just being honest with you, bro. It's gonna be hard for them to be able to play at a high level going forward, especially with this stretch coming up. You're about to go against one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the SEC, and how he leads the SEC in sacks. It's gonna be a tough one for him on Saturday.
No, I agree. And then, I mean, the mobile quarterback element of it all, we haven't really touched on that one yet with Marcel Reed, but I think the biggest problem is going to be the five up front in a sense where that's going to help you alleviate the run concerns. Because if you dig a little deeper on Saturday, Vandy, bro, outrushes LSU 242 to 100. Now, there were, moments of hope that LSU's offense showed, but you're not in the spot that you thought you would be. I want to ask you about this. Brian Kelly popped this one in there in the press conference, mentioning potentially redshirting Jordan Gilbert and Ashton Stamps. Now, you're in a spot, G, where you got so much depth at DB. Like, a lot of people aren't even noticing that guys like this aren't getting in. When you got Mansour, when you got PJ, when you got DJ, I mean, you got a lot of pieces that you can throw out there. AJ, Tamarcus, yada, yada, yada. You're also going to lose a lot of those pieces to the NFL draft. So, is the red shirt idea for Ashton Stamps and Jordan Gilbert an attempt to preserve the DB depth for next year? Are you worrying and potentially risking them entering the portal and being disgruntled? Like, what's going through your head when you hear something like that?
Yeah, I think this is a clear indication of BK looking out for Stamps and Jordan Gilbert when you talk about them having an opportunity not to lose a year, but not only that, being able to go into the portal and this year just be a wash.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what they're doing, bro. I would be very shocked if Ashton Stamps and Jordan Gilbert returns to LSU next year. And I think what BK is doing, and this is the landscape of college football right now. Instead of having 6, 7, 8, 9 guys rotating in at the secondary, you're not having that luxury because you're trying to protect the uniform. And this is the day and age we in college football, bro. And it's what made Bama and Georgia so damn good over the last 8 to 10 years because they had so much depth And we talked about this all throughout the summer and fall camp about how LSU had a lot of competitive depth. Well, it's not looking like it because you got guys that could be starters in some programs. Jordan Gilbert probably could start in some programs around the country. Ashton Stamps probably could start at some programs around the country. But they don't want to take a backseat. They don't want to be the guy rotating. They want to be the guy getting most of the snaps. And when you have a situation like this, what they're thinking in their mind, I'm just gonna go somewhere where I'm gonna be able to get majority of the snaps, and I'm a full-time starter. And I think that's what you see here. So uh I guess I can't blame BK for trying to look out for they trying to look out for them not losing a year like that. But it's really a lose-lose when you talk about they depth on the defensive side of the ball.
No, 100%, because Ashton Stamps was really one of your best cornerbacks for the last few years. And it shocked me to see him not get thrown into the mix, because if you would have asked me, let's say around March, maybe around April, I would have thought it was Mansour Delane and Ashton Stamps. And then obviously, some people push to the top of that room. And then now you're in a situation like this. I find it interesting also, too, because there's going to be that turnover that we talked about. There's going to be a huge emphasis on getting DB depth back in the transfer portal. So just watching two potential starters go into the portal and then having to replace them, it's like, it sucks, because I would like to keep the cohesiveness in the scheme. I would like to keep people like that who have years under the system, who are comfortable all together on one unit. But at the end of the day, G, I hate to say this and kind of jump too far ahead and get a little too emotional, but if Blake Baker leaves, more than likely you got to have a whole new defensive scheme anyway. So maybe it's like one of those situations where it is what it is. You're not too worried about the cohesiveness, and you're just gonna have to keep the big depth pieces like your Dominic McKinley's, your My Bros. Those kind of guys are non-negotiables. They have to go with you wherever. But it's gonna be a lot of people that I think could potentially be disposable if they get a new D coordinator. But I could just be looking a little too far ahead. Like I said, want to ask you about this. Here's something that's bothering me when we look at Saturday. Texas A&M and LSU. It could have been a top 10 matchup. G, you know what else it could have been? College game day. It's the second time that LSU chokes college game day, man. I like it. I like the vibe around campus. I like Pat McAfee coming in. I like Nick Saban coming in. But, gee, why the hell would you want to come watch this disaster class? I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen Saturday. I know exactly what Marcel Reed's going to do. We're not going to give too much away. We got our preview on Wednesday. But just give me like one or two words to describe not only LSU situation, but how you feeling about this game on Saturday.
Underachieving. I mean, I can't state it no better than that, bro. They are clearly underachieving. When you spend that type of money on the players in the portal, and you come out all off season and all throughout fall camp, and you say this is the most talented roster you've had, and you lose to Vanderbilt. Again, I know Vanderbilt is not the old Vanderbilt, but still, bro, this is LSU and Vanderbilt. I don't give a damn how good Pavia is and how good that scheme was. They don't have better players than LSU.
That's what I would think.
I'm sorry.
Especially when you put that money into the portal. Number one portal class.
Ole Miss, really good team. They don't have better players than LSU. They don't. So, in my mind, that's the one word that describes this season and this team. Underachievers.
The word I'm going to describe this season with so far, I'm going to use gut-wrenching. This weekend, I'm going to use groundbreaking, G. And I got some things as to why. Not only is it scary, A&M, listen to me closely, everybody. You can close your eyes, just open your ears. Since the Aggies have joined at the SEC, G, they have not won in Baton Rouge. I'll take it a step further. Since they've joined the SEC, since 2011, A&M has only won 4 times. And yes, all 4 of them are in College Station. I think that with what you've seen, I overreacted a little bit before the game. I was a prisoner in a moment, like you would say. And I thought that if you lost against Vandy, quite frankly, your season's going to be in a can. Because you got 4 really, really tough games left. Well, 3 really tough games left. You're obviously going to have to run a table. This weekend, I think you're going to see something you've never seen before. I think you're going to see the Aggies win in Tiger Stadium. And I don't even think it's going to be a win where you're just sitting there like, all right, cool, they pulled one out. We had a few mistakes. No, dog. I think Marcel Reed could have a 400 total yard effort. I think Marcel Reed could jump and leapfrog anybody in the Heisman debate, because if you go in and you look at these Heisman odds, G, which I feel like I should probably stop doing. But if you look at them, Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson, 3 to top 5. You're going to face all 3 of them in what, a 4-week stretch? A 1-month stretch. I'll just put it that way. Either way, I think you're going to see something very historic on Saturday, and it's going to be Mike Elko and his Aggies beating LSU handily in Tiger Stadium. And I'm a little worried about it. I can't lie to you. I don't know what the spread is right now. I'll have to do a quick Google search.
Minus 2.5 A&M.
Bro, I was about to say make this shit 7. Make it 7, bro. I'm taking it the Aggies minus 2.5. I don't care what it is. I'm laying the points. I think Aggies come in here and do some dirty work because LSU's in a spot mentally that they really haven't been in a long time. Have they lost games, G? Yeah. But it's like the Penn State effect to me because going into the season, you had an internal temperature of we're champions. We're going to the Natty. This is it. Keep the receipts. We're going to see you in the national championship. G, I don't think you got a chance no more. I don't think you have a realistic opportunity. And then when you look at the AP poll, we'll switch it and dive it into that. You got the 9th best ranking of any SEC teams. We're talking about 4 teams potentially getting in. You could double that, bro. You could put 8 teams in. You're still not getting in. That's how high you are in this conference. And I want to make a point real quick because a lot of people are talking about Brian Kelly, talking about the buyout. I ain't gonna lie to you, G. I might say something controversial. This is the beautiful part about having your own show, G. You could say what you want. You could just get on a soapbox, rant, blah, blah, blah. Everybody can say what they got to say. It don't matter. You know why? This is our show. We get to rattle. We get to rant. And I'm going to get on one. Brian Kelly, the answer is not buying him out, bro. It's not. It's a $55 million buyout. Then guess what? Newsflash. You hiring a new coach, a new staff. I keep talking about all the different additions you're going to have to make in the transfer portal. Quarterback, DB, wide receiver, linebacker, probably O-line. Dog, this is a $120 million operation. I mean, sure, yeah, Brian Kelly's buyout will be pushed back, split over 4 years, whatever the case may be. You are going to owe that man so much money that it's almost worth just seeing what he can do. Take that money that you would give him, put it in a roster, and just see what happens. Did you already do it 1 year and it didn't work out? Sure. I mean, we keep talking about it taking time. You getting a new coach restarts the process. Now it takes even more time, and it would get a lot worse before it even got a lot better. I'm not advocating for Brian Kelly being the greatest option or he's the greatest coach in college football or whatever the case may be. But right now, I just don't see how a buyout for LSU helps them. Who do you go get? How do you get the money? And then what do you do in the transfer portal when you just spent every single bit of capital that you had to clear house? G, I want to hear your opinion on this, but I just don't understand how this would be a smart decision. Look, Florida doing it is a completely different situation because it's a $20 million buyout, $21 million to be exact. And they only had to give $10 million within 30 days. Brian Kelly, completely different situation. Look at Coach Osborne's buyout. That was $18 million. And that potentially hurt LSU. $50+ million. And then my question still stands. Who do you get? Like, how are you going to afford a new coach? I don't know, G. What's your take on this?
I'll be the first one to say that I think BK has not lived up to the bill. I'll be the first one to say that he needs to change some things and the way he operates and the way he goes about running a program, because this is completely different in the Midwest and it's completely different in Notre Dame and Cincinnati. I think he needs to make some changes in that regard. Obviously, the elephant in the room is, Joe Sloan as an offensive coordinator. The O line, is it a Brad Davis thing, or is it just because these kids are young, like a Weston Davis and Mabenga and DJ Chester? Is it that? Is it youth? That's a question that Brian Kelly would have to answer behind closed doors, I guess, because I know he wouldn't throw one of his coaches under the bus, especially during a press conference. But you make all the sense in the world, bro. Why would you fire this man and pay him $50 million to go sit at home and then start this process all over again? It just doesn't make sense. Even if you fire him next year, you go owe him $40 million. So, this is the bed that Scott Woodward has to lay in. This is what we decided to go get. And you gotta live with the decision that you made, bro. That's what you gotta do. I think the best thing for them to do to try to make the most of the situation is, let's just say they win 9 games this year, right? What did I put them at, 9-4? Right?
Yeah, they'd be 9-4 after a bowl game loss because you got 12 games in the year. So 9-3 would be regular season.
Yeah, before the bowl game, though, if they lose 4 games, that'll put them at 9-4, I think.
I think it would be 8 and
No,
4.
no,
But either
no,
way,
no. 8-4.
yeah.
8-4. 8-4. Let's say they go 8-4. Right. Which that would be ridiculous when you talk about LSU and expectations. I think Scott Woodward, BK need to sit down and have a round table discussion on what can we get better at as far as on our coaching staff. Where do you feel like the weak links at? And I think you go that route if I'm Scott Woodward, right? I think that's cheaper. And after that, you figure out who's going to be the next quarterback when Nussmeier leaves, right? How much faith do you have in Michael Van Buren? Do you think he is somebody that could potentially get us to the playoffs next year? Can you answer that with conviction, Brian Kelly? And if you can't, then we need to go get the best quarterback in the portal. Period. I think that's the only way you fix this in the short term instead of trying to fire him and paying $50 million.
Yeah, I agree. Let's hit the comments real quick. I found one that I thought was interesting. Alexander Taylor saying, "Well, Texas A&M paid Jimbo 70 million." Well, Alexander, LSU
They
and
got more
Texas
money in
A&M,
Texas, bro.
completely different situations.
More money.
Exactly, it's a lot more money too. I mean, look, I'll go on a limb, G, and say that when this whole NIL and transfer portal era started, one of the first teams that got that revenue side figured out, it was the Aggies, bro. They went out and got that #1 recruiting class. Did it work out? Different question. But they were able to be ahead of the curve in that regard because of the financial security, if you will. And then he said 18 million in the portal to be in the same spot. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'll double down. You get a new coach. You don't have all those resources to even put in the portal. Because think about this. You're thinking, okay, the roster's gonna stay the same. Gee, be real with me. How many players are hitting that portal? Think about Penn State. Think about all these other Florida. There's going to be a lot of schools that players flood to the portal. And BK at LSU could theoretically sit back and just grab a couple of them because he's in a consistent program. And he theoretically wouldn't be worried about getting fired. But if you introduce that element to it, guys like Trudez Green, Caden Durham, I hate to say that, but why would they stay? It's uncertainty. You're going to have so many people calling you because they know that your head coach is now gone. I feel like this is the year where you potentially take that money and throw it into the portal and get some of those championship caliber players that left. Alabama went into the same spot, bro. The guys like Caleb Downs was like, all right, cool, later, I'm out of here. I just don't know if saying like getting a new staff is going to put you in a completely different situation. The different situation it might put you in is not you going 4-8, but that's just my situation. I don't know. I think you would be better served putting that money in the portal at least one more year. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. People are talking about Lamar Brown flipping in the chat too. Would you worry about that?
No, no, I don't think Lamar Brown is gonna flip, bro. Let me tell you something. Even if, let's just say, hypothetically, Scott Woodward fired Brian Kelly at the end of the season, right? This is still LSU, bro. Like, everybody knows this is still one of the best programs in the country. This is a hotbed when you talk about going to the league, especially from a skill position. Some of those guys might get in the portal, but a lot of them guys gonna stay put to try to see who the next head coach gonna be. I mean, it's still LSU, bro. This is not your average school around the country. I'm sorry, Penn State and LSU is not comparable in my mind. So I would expect when a coach get fired for 20, 30 guys to hit the portal. I don't think that'll be the same thing at LSU if Brian Kelly was to get fired. Now, will it have some guys hit the portal? Yeah, you'll probably have a few guys here and there hit the portal. But I don't think you'll see an influx of kids, especially like your main guys, just jumping in the portal if Brian Kelly got fired. Because one thing you knew, right? Even when O got fired, you know they was gonna bring a hot name in here. And to Scott Woodward's credit, Brian Kelly was the most winningest coach out of all the active coaches, right? He had been to a national championship. He had Notre Dame with a top 10 recruiting class. Damn near every year he was there. He had a lot of guys getting drafted. When he was winning 10, 11 games a season. Like, I get it. Like, why you went got him? That wouldn't have been my first pick. And I said that when they hired him. Anybody that's in the chat think I'm lying, I can go back and replay this video when they decided to hire Brian Kelly. I thought that shouldn't have been the guy they went after. And that's just my personal opinion. But look, that's who he picked. And I don't blame Scott Woodward for it. But like I just said a little while ago, instead of firing him, bro, man, go make the necessary changes on your staff where you feel like you got a wink link it, and you go find out and get the best quarterback in the portal.
Yep.
That's what you do. I think that's the only way you can salvage this going forward.
I agree. Yeah, somebody was in the chat saying, I'm missing a point. Boosters won't be motivated to spend in the portal again next season. I see that point in a small sliver, but at the same time,
not on the defensive side.
and that's a good devil's advocate rebuttal. I was about to say, I feel like the boosters, I'm not trying to say I don't want to keep their emotions in check, because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be negative and a lot of people that are going to have shitty things to say about the program regardless. So the people that are going to say, oh, the boosters aren't going to be motivated. Gee, there's some people that are so rich, they're just going to throw money at LSU because they like watching LSU. We like playing college football 25 to build a team. Some people are rich enough to build a team in real life. LSU's boosters are going to be loyal to LSU. If they're going to fire Brian Kelly, they're going to have to be 3 times as loyal and find 3 times the money. So the more expensive outcome is by far firing Brian Kelly and getting a new staff. Now, I'm not trying to say that he's not losing the boosters' faith. Yeah, sure. I mean, potentially a lot of coaches run into that effort. A lot of coaches run into that problem. You could bring in one player, not play him, or that, player's ceiling not play out like the progressions had initially thought, and then boosters could be getting lost right there. I'm not running a program worried all the time about, are the boosters happy with every single decision I'm making, because I feel like I'm going to be up all night, G. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be sleeping, tossing and turning. I ain't making nobody happy if I'm trying to make everybody happy. And I'm not trying to say that, oh, we need to have the boosters pissed off. Bro, they're going to be pissed off if they got to put together $100 million to get a new coach, and then next year, you're 500. And then the year after that, you finally get back to 8 wins. I don't know. I think the more economically sound decision here is by far put another $25 million in the portal. You got to do it anyway. I hate to break it to you. You got to do it anyway. You're losing a dozen starters. A dozen.
If you a booster and you are a part of this committee or these group of people that's putting money into the program to get kids out the portal, really take a deep dive and evaluate the situation. On defense, go and get AJ Halsey, go and get Bernard Gooden, go and get Tamarcus Cooley, Mansour Delane, Pyburn, Patrick Payton. It has paid off. No, they didn't have a good performance on Saturday against Vanderbilt, right? They didn't. But I don't think you will see another performance like that from the defense the rest of the year. Even going against Marcel Reed and A&M on Saturday. I think the money was well spent on defense. On offense, you ain't got Destin Hill. He's been dealing with the dislocated ankle injury he had got in fall camp. Then he broke his hand, which he has a plate in his hand. So you didn't get any productivity from him this year because of that. All right. You talk about Barry Brown. Okay. People might not want to admit this, but I've been consistent with this. And I think I told you this when we first got Barry Brown. I never thought Barry Brown was a number 1 receiver.
Right.
I thought he could really help LSU. I think he could bring a different dynamic to LSU, along with Aaron Anderson for their speed and blowing the top off the defense and returning kicks. But I never thought he was a number 1. Nick Anderson, I think that's where I feel like they might have fell short at, because he's the only guy. When we talk about receivers, I'm not adding Tre'Davious Green to this. When we talk about the receivers, he's the only guy with length in the receiver room besides Colin Billiard. Colin Billiard doesn't even travel, so we're not even going to talk about him. And Nick Anderson just not has looked how we expected him to look. You know what I mean? We talk about the O-line. I feel like Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson has been pretty solid. I don't think they are a weak link on the offensive line. I really don't. So when you look at it from that perspective, you break down all the guys they've been got in the portal. You really didn't miss on too many, right? Unless you expected Barry Brown to be a number 1 receiver. And if you thought that, I don't know what you've been looking at when he was playing in Kentucky. So that's my thought process, bro. If I'm a booster, I'm gonna still continue putting money into the program so they can go get the best guys in the portal. And that's how I would look at it.
Yep. And also, I want to just add one more point to it. It's like, I don't think these people were thinking this was going to be a 1-year, one-size-fits-all solution. We give you this money one time, and we're never going to have to give it again, and then we're just going to be perfect from here on out. Everybody knew that some of these people were going to depart. Everybody knew that this was going to be an effort that continues to extend year after year after year. Boosters don't just donate and then it's over with. They know that every year, more than likely, this is going to be an annual expense that they're more than likely going to itemize and exempt from their taxes. Like, dude, they want to spend this money. Not trying to say that they're going to be excited if they don't win. Of course, you're going to be a little upset. I don't know if Brian Kelly's main worry right now, though, should be keeping the boosters happy. I'm sorry. It should be focusing on the program, the roster, who are they getting in the portal, what are they doing with the coaching staff. You got a lot more things to worry about, but that's my opinion. Let's talk about the AP poll real quick. They got a new one. LSU slid down. I want to ask your thoughts real quick before we hop out of here. Is 20 a good spot for the Tigers? Some people think they shouldn't even be ranked. And then Vandy, number 10. I feel like they might, they could probably argue to be a little bit higher. I ain't gonna lie. Vandy, I think, showed me something. All in all, 5 of the top 10 is from the SEC. That's over half of the field. I'll make one more point before I toss it up to you. This is why the SEC don't care about that automatic qualifying model. Oh, we're going to get 4 seeds automatically. So, got 5 of the top 10 right now. 4 is almost guaranteed. Shit, every year, you might have an argument to be able to stretch it and add a 5th team. What's your thoughts on this, the AP poll? Anything out of the ordinary?
I told you Notre Dame was going to sneak back in.
Yeah, they are. Hey, they got a good win. They got a good win against USC. Made me nervous for a little bit, but they complete, bro. They completed.
Now they can't lose. They can't slip up no more.
They got to run that table.
And look, as upset as all these LSU fans are, and different former players. I mean, I've been hearing Rohan Davey. I saw Jacob. It's a lot of former players have a problem with the state of the program and how they looking thus far this season. Mm-hmm. They're at 20, bro. They still have an opportunity to get in this 12-team playoff. Oklahoma is at 13. They're going to lose again. Vanderbilt's going to lose again. Ole Miss play Oklahoma this weekend, so somebody got to lose that game. BYU, I'll have to look at their schedule. I think out of the 12 teams that they got right here in this AP poll, I think only half of them makes the playoff.
I can see that.
I think only 6 of these teams out of the 12 make the playoff. I think the other 6 fall out.
I feel like I can already see the 6 too.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Miami. You definitely got to throw Bama and Georgia. Oregon getting in. That's 7 that I could count off my head.
Yeah. The other 6, man, it's like a toss up. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we talked about it on Sunday, bro. Not Sunday. We talked about it Saturday after the game. LSU still will have a chance to get in this playoff, but they can't lose another game, and it's gonna be tough, bro. When you gotta go to Tuscaloosa, you gotta go to Norman, Oklahoma. You gotta play A&M Saturday. You still gotta play Arkansas, and I know Arkansas record doesn't show it, but they've been having a lot of close games with everybody in the SEC. So that's not just gonna be no cakewalk.
Nah. I think they had a close one with Tennessee where they went to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Taylor Green, man. It's a big dude right there behind that center.
Arkansas defense is bad. Their offense been putting up points, though.
Yeah, that Taylor Green effect. I want to point something out that I've been kind of interested in. Number 20, LSU. Number 22, Texas. Preseason, I would have never guessed LSU would have jumped Texas. I know they've been high because Texas dropped Ohio State. LSU was at 3, yada, yada, yada. But still, after this point, you lose 2 games. You got 2 losses fresh off of a disappointing Saturday, and you still ranked higher than the Longhorns, who barely escaped Kentucky in overtime. I want to ask you a hypothetical question before we get out of here. Who wins that? Let's say, because I know Arch Manning's been having his issues, and I think LSU's defense could stress him out a little bit. But how does LSU's offense look versus that Texas defense? Like, I've been wondering, does Texas beat us? I kind of feel like I know the answer.
LSU would definitely struggle against Texas defense.
Yeah, that would be like a 10-10 game. That's a under 21 whole entire matchup. I ain't even lying to you. Somebody said this is my favorite LSU podcast. Y'all should do a 2-hour show. Gee, how long you think you'd have to plan to do a 2-hour show? We did 30 minutes right here. I mean, put another hour in.
We're not to plan too much. Not as much as we already doing.
I feel like I thought about this before. To make the show, like if you really wanted to make it stretch at the end of it, I just beat you in CFB, and that adds like an hour. That adds like an hour to the show. So I'm like, man, that's bad.
I don't know what it feel like to lose.
Oh, really? All right. Well, we might have to figure it out. Had a lot of people jumping into the comment section. I think the move is to keep it up on the screen because everybody gets to discuss, everybody get involved in the show, everybody gets to tell me I'm missing a point. I appreciate it though. We are a community right now, G. And we might not always agree, but as long as we meet every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'm living with it. That's what I think. Appreciate your time, G. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Y'all know the drill. We'll be back Wednesday previewing LSU and A&M, giving a little top 5 power ranking for the SEC. And I'll come prepared with a list of who I think Florida will potentially hire. The best job open right now, Florida Gators. It'll be interesting. Go ahead, that thumbs up, that like button, and we out of here.